Hey everybody, I want to tell you I've been reading this book by Michael Vick. It's his autobiography. It's called Finally Free. So I'm going to talk about chapter 2 with you. Just give you a few main points that I've got in the chapter here. So I'm going to read the first sentence for you. He says, "My number 7 Philadelphia Eagles jersey became one of the NFL's best-selling jerseys again in 2010 after topping the charts at times during my stay in Atlanta. I guess you could say the number is as much a fixture on me as number 18 is on Peyton Manning and number 12 is on Tom Brady." He also says he didn't always start out wearing number 7. Okay, he wore number 11 at one time when he was in high school. And then at one point he was wearing number 1. And he says he had a really bad game when he was in high school. So he had a teammate named Andre Harrison. He was a receiver on his team. And he says Andre Harrison was our top receiver at the time, and he asked Andre to exchange jerseys, and Andre really couldn't believe that he wanted to exchange jerseys because he was wearing number 1. So I guess Andre thought that was a better number. He says, "Are you serious? I thought you wanted to wear number 1." I told him, "Yeah, I just need to change." So we switched, and I put on number 7 jersey that Andre was wearing. I've kept it ever since. So that's how he started wearing number 7. He also talks about in this chapter, he says his whole high school career could be summed up because he was trying to emulate one of the best player he ever saw. Here's what he says. He said, "My whole career can be described as me trying to emulate someone who I believe is the best to ever play high school football." So he was talking about Ronald Curry. He says he had a little admiration and jealousy for Ron. He says that he remembers games like in high school, throwing for 430 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a win that they had over Gloucester. He says that my running ability became more noticeable in my junior year and really blossomed my senior year. 100-yard rushing games became more common. He says his coach started to talk to him about being recruited for college. He said Virginia Tech called and wants to offer him a scholarship. His coach name was Coach Riemann. He says that they played a game in which his stats were better than Ronald Curry's at one time. He threw for 300 yards and had 40 yards rushing and another score. He says, "And finally, for once, my stats were better than Ronald's." He says, "As my senior year approached, Coach Riemann oversaw my college recruitment and made it known that schools had to choose which quarterback they wanted." So in other words, their head coach, teams were coming into their town and wanted to recruit Ron and him, but they were the same school was trying to get Ronald and him, and the coach was saying, "No, Mike's not going to the same place as Ron. If you want Mike, we're going to another place." He says in high school, he remained in the shadow of Ron throughout high school. He says because Ron led his teams to 3 state championships, and he also beat Mike's team 3 years in a row. He says 4 years I was second best, but it made me want to be the best ever. So basically he was talking about this chapter. He talks about how he gets his jersey number 7, and he talks about how he kind of looked up to and felt like Ronald Curry was the best high school player he had ever seen. So that was chapter 2 of Michael Vick's autobiography. The chapter is called Seven's Heaven. Thank you.